Hey everyone, Eric Watson here, freelance writer, player of games, writer of boards, recorder of videos, and tabletop role-playing aficionado. Welcome to the Thursday edition. Is it Thursday? My goodness. My bi-weekly behind-the-scenes DM-only live stream, Crafting the Deep, which I build, write, and prepare for a next session of Call from the Deep. If you're playing characters Gottwald, Mox, Sabra, or Toro, this stream is not meant for you. It'll be full of spoilers. The rest of you are okay, though, I think. We stream our sessions live on YouTube every Friday. You can join our official Discord server with invite link in the description below. If you'd like to support the channel, please check out patreon.com/RogueWatson. For our campaign, we use Roll20. For streaming, I use OBS Studio. I have talked so much about the Sahuagin Stronghold. I think it's literally been like, I don't know, 6, 7 crafting streams now, and the players have made barely any progress to where I don't have more things to talk about. So, if we have any questions about this dungeon, I've filled it all out, and I haven't made any adjustments because they really haven't made much progress since like 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, whatever it was. We did the arena thing and then this barracks fight. Yeah, I may have to just start moving on to getting ahead of things because I don't think I can make, which doesn't mean I'm going to stop talking about it. We'll obviously have to revisit it as the players make progress. But at least for right now, I'm not sure what else I can still talk about or change that I haven't already done. I think most of what I'm worried about now with this dungeon is it's actually too difficult. Which it's kind of supposed to be, right? They're not meant to go through and defeat everything in here. It's very much like there's way too many hostile creatures, and they have to go very quickly and stealthily, and it's challenging because it's also pitch dark in here and full of water, right? There's a lot of challenging stuff about this dungeon. They're level 7, so they're not like super low level without any special abilities or anything, but I get that there is a challenge here, and they only know so much via the maps. The NPCs they're rescuing only know so much, so I try to feel for them, and I'm helping them out along the way. That being said, I don't know if they're setting up their ambushes, to the maximum use of their ability. They're holding back on a lot of abilities, which is fine, but some of those abilities might come in very handy, like especially with Toril not launching spell slots like every encounter. I mean, I guess you're not guaranteed to be able to short rest every encounter, especially in this situation, but I don't know, if I was a warlock, I would probably be a little more liberal with the use of some of those spells, especially like a Hunger of Hadar could really shut down somebody's ability to flee because it's all heavily obscured. So I'm really kind of waiting for the players to try and unleash some more abilities to help them out, because what's coming up next is going to be really challenging. They've already got a very strong force of enemies to deal with in this coming encounter, which I'm going to have to adjust because we're going to be down a player. Although Chris did just shove 2 of the Coral Smashers inside of Savra's, or Gottwald shoved them into Savra's ongoing spell effect, so having him drag them back out might be a little strange, knowing that they could be locked down and CC'd in crowd control, which wouldn't be too bad. What I could do is fudge the hit points on these guys quite a bit. I'm definitely going to at least get rid of one of these deep divers and maybe fudge some hit points down there as well, just because I don't know, there's a lot going on here, and I am kind of worried about their ability to get through this alive. On the other hand, if they do fail and they're, surrounded by people, they've just gotten too much aggro, then they can be stripped of their belongings and thrown in a prison, maybe one of them dragged to a tent. Like, it would just create a whole new scenario that we've never really done in a D&D session, something that I'm very intimidated to do, or would be overwhelmed to do, is taking away the player's agency and saying, okay, cutscene, you guys are now captured, and now you have to deal with that. But if it happens organically, like they legit lose a battle, they have to surrender, which again I've never really put them in this kind of situation where that's even necessarily a possibility, then I could probably get away with it, which could be pretty cool. So on the other hand, I don't want to necessarily use too much kid gloves here, because I think that is on the table, and the Sahuagin would normally not necessarily take prisoners, but this dungeon, literally, they're here because they've been capturing prisoners, right? You could even have them, have 2 people be set off into the arena and just enter this whole other situation. The only thing that makes me feel bad about that is we're already entering session 4, I think, of this quest arc, and having that happen would stretch it out even further, right? Because it would be a whole nother like session or two of just dealing with that and then getting back to what they're supposed to be doing, really. So it's a lot of sessions to be in here, and I plan on leveling them up after this quest arc is complete. But while they're here, obviously they're not leveling up, and they're not even really getting a long rest or anything. So I'm also aware of just how long they're spending on this entire quest arc. I guess they did long rest after the first session of this quest arc. Technically, they after the sea encounter, I think, with the Sahuagin. But other than that, it's been a while. So we'll see. I will probably make some adjustments, certainly to this fight. And they haven't and really they need to be able to get a short rest, but I don't know how they're going to be able to do that. If they've got to be able to put a stop to any alarms going on here. We could argue that the forces moving up here with the Seahorse and the Blade Master would be going towards the arena and the dungeons, try to see what's happening. But that would obviously start putting the place on high alert once they realize the dungeons have been cleared and opened. And there's a dude that's was turned into a Seahorse who will probably be popping. I have not been following Savra's concentration. In fact, I believe it just broke because he's probably concentrating on Aether's mischief. So that dude's now back to being a Sahuagin champion in there. So I'll probably make that adjustment here. But that is going to put the place on high alert, at least at level 3, and is going to put them on a timetable now. 5-minute short rest does give them the advantage to getting a short rest without causing too much of a stir, but they're still going to need a safe place where they're not being actively hunted, and that would require them to not have any of these people pull off any alarms or anything. And the biggest problem with that is Mac currently chasing this Wave Shaper up through level 2. He's got to be able to stop this person. I'm thinking about having them swim ahead at the 40-foot speed, which puts them like here at the end of the corridor, flip around and unleash that whirlpool ability, because that's pretty cool. It can only do that once, but that has the potential to really fuck up Mac if he misses that strength save. I believe he gets pulled back into the vortex, and I don't think it'd make any progress. We'd have to revisit that ability and see exactly how that works. Let's see. Whirlpool forms a vortex that is 5 feet wide at the base and up to 50 feet wide at the top, 25 feet tall, and lasts for a minute. So up to makes me, I think I can do it very, very small because, they're 10 feet wide hallways here, so it can't be 50 feet wide. Any creature, object in the water and within 25 feet of the vortex is pulled 10 feet toward it. Creature can swim away. So that's not even... It doesn't sound like that's even a save. You just automatically pulled 10 feet. A creature can swim away from the vortex by succeeding on a DC 14 athletics check. When a creature enters the vortex for the first time on a turn or starts its turn there, it must make a DC 14 strength save, then takes 2d8 bludgeoning damage and is caught in the vortex until it ends. So it sounds like it automatically drags you 10 feet. If you enter the vortex by being dragged 10 feet towards it, then you have to make that strength save. If you fail, you are caught in the vortex until it ends. Creature caught in the vortex can use its action to try to swim away from the vortex as described above, but has disadvantage on athletics checks to do so, which is the strength athletics check. So you really get 2 chances, I guess, to escape it. You've got the strength save to avoid being pulled into it in the first place, it sounds like. And then if you are pulled into it, then you can just make a athletics check at disadvantage to escape from it if you're pulled into it in the first time. And you do take some damage to be pulled into it. So kind of cool. Doesn't require concentration either, but if they're incapacitated, then it's turned off, I suppose. But that would prevent... So basically I'm picturing going up here and then, God, what was it? 25 feet is the distance though? Anybody within 25 feet of the vortex. I should also come up with a vortex icon. So let's see. Vortex is... If I put it right here at the top of the stairs... Okay, that's pretty safe. Because I think it gets to go before Mac does. Interesting. I guess because it's on the GM layer, it's hidden now. It's kind of tricky. So maybe I should move it, let's see, level 3. So instead of putting it on the GM layer, I should just move it off the map. That would make more sense. So let's do, oops, turn you off. Let's move you over here. There we go. Now it's on there normally. Okay. Unfortunately, so if I put, I guess if I just drag Mac to the other uh, map, it doesn't matter. It's not going to see this anyway. Where is he? Okay, there he is. 8, yeah. So he's going to go after the Wave Shaper. So the Wave Shaper will go swim down here using regular movement, and then as an action, shove the Whirlpool here near the top of the stairs, which if anybody enters the bottom of the stairs would actually pull them towards it, I guess. Doesn't say it does it like every turn or something, though. Any object or creature in the water within 25 feet of the vortex is pulled 10 feet toward it. Just once, ever? I feel like that should be like every round or something. But it's like it just happens the one time. Huh. Enters the vortex, it starts its turn there. Which the vortex is only 5 feet wide. So that's also tricky. So even though the thing is huge, 25 feet of the vortex is pulled 10 feet toward it. Well, it's 5 feet wide at the base and 55 feet at the top. Okay, so the vortex is the whole thing, I guess. The whirlpool. I keep thinking the vortex is like the bottom of it, but I think it's the whole thing. Do we have a whirlpool effect? Let me check my folder. Whirlpool effect. I know what that would look. Well, I know what the whirlpool looks like, I guess. It's a wave with a little ju thing. I don't have it here, so let's just search for whirlpool. See what we get. No results found. Oh, in your library. Well, yeah. I got nothing. So I don't need a map. I need a token, I guess. Or, well, I don't know. Texture or something. I read this effect as stone shapes alters the water into a vortex that keeps doing the thing. Yeah, I just wish the rules were a little more clear on that. It just says hold 10 feet toward it. And then it has rules where if you start your turn or enter the vortex, I guess my question is mechanically, if I were really rules lawyering this, I'd be like, all right, the vortex appears. Anybody within 10 feet has to go towards it. And then if you enter the vortex by going 10 feet towards it, anyone within 25 feet, then you have to deal with the strength save and do all that kind of thing. But if you're not in the vortex, then nothing else happens, I guess. But the vortex is pretty big. Boy, there's not a lot of options for... Here we go. Portals, warps, and plane rift tokens. Those are all nice looking, but none of these actually look like water. How is Whirlpool? I didn't think that was such a... it's not bad. That would be a more common effect. Is it not really a standard like Whirlpool spell? Oh, that one's pretty good. Cones. Let's see what this looks like. Oh, geez. That's a big whirlpool. That is a big whirlpool. That is probably bigger than we need. It says I can make it as big as I want. Up to is doing a lot of work for size. Right? So you could do something like that. Kind of a small, localized whirlpool. Although this doesn't quite fit into a grid, does it? How annoying. What if I make it this small? Okay. I think if we go like that, that would fit. There we go. I just gotta kind of squeeze it over. The artist did not really make it for 20 maybe. So if we do it like here, right? That looks good. So on the wave shaper's turn, they'll swim down, flip around, and cast it. It doesn't say how far. It's just a body of water. At least 50 feet square and 25 feet deep. I don't. Can I even use it then if it's not? If it's not a big enough body of water? Is this created from Call from the Deep? No, this would be from Ghost of Saltmarsh, wouldn't it be? Looking for Wave Shaper. Yeah, Ghost of Saltmarsh. So, yeah. They're in the sea. It's all fucking water. It's all one big body of water. No, I get it. I guess I'm being pedantic. I think I'm gonna edit this text so that my players don't throw a hissy fit. Wave shaper targets a body of water. Let's get rid of this. So I'm going to basically make the size whatever I want it to be. The wave shaper targets a body of water, causing a whirlpool to form in the center of the area. The whirlpool forms a vortex that is 5 feet wide at the base, up to 50 feet wide at the top, 25 feet tall, and lasts for 1 minute or until the wave shaper is incapacitated. I probably should hide the description. That's like a whole nother ball game, man. The way we play on Roll20 is I'm pretty public about everything, right? I'm public about you can see attack rolls, you can see damage numbers, and just hover over and look at all the dice. Like, it's all very public, and we're just so ingrained with that mentality that that's just kind of how we play tabletop RPGs, is having all that public. And I realized the equivalent of that would be like me not having a DM screen, essentially, and just rolling everything out in the open, and also telling people like, oh, and here's the saves you have to make and everything. The only thing I keep hidden is monster hit points. But what I could do is just not click this until the first time they have to deal with it. And then they deal with it and they're like, oh, okay, so here's the damage, here's the strength save and all that. So you're right, I don't have to necessarily click this either. I just figure I should use it because that's kind of their unique thing. It's a cool ability. They're actually much more effective damage-wise to just go into melee because their bite and claws is an extra 3d8 cold damage, which is horrendous. That is terrifying. They do an average of over 20 damage with each attack, and they have 2 attacks. Holy shit. And of course, still have the Sahuagin Blood Frenzy. This thing could easily like turn around and just murder Mac. Players don't know that. So put that on the GM layer and we can explode with that. Although, is that 25 feet away from... Dude, let's make sure... Okay, yeah, we're safe there. So it makes it the full 40 feet, turns around, launches the whirlpool there. That'll pull Mac 10 feet towards it. I think no matter what, then he gets to make a strength save. To avoid taking 2d8 bludgeoning damage and being caught in the vortex. And it sounds like, yeah, if you make the save, you're not caught in the vortex, and you don't even have to make the athletics check to get out of it either. Whereas if you do, then you got to make the athletics check just to swim away. So it could, hilariously, all it does is pull him 10 feet closer if he makes that save, which would help him. I may have to take out a lot of hit points here, though, because, my goodness, 70 hit points. These stat blocks just are pretty damn strong. considering these are all various like minions. Like if this were a named boss, that's one thing, right? This was like a lieutenant or something, but it's not. It's just a regular ass Sahuagin stat block. I don't know if these old modules just had some really overtuned, powerful stat blocks for what is basically like, yeah, they're not the grunt minions. I get that. They're not the regular Sahuagin. But even that room they just fought had no regular Sahuagin in it, right? It had a couple of the Coral Smashers, which are stronger than normal. The Champion, who is kind of like the mini boss version, plus the Deep Diver and the Wave Shaper, which are all much more stronger and could basically be like bosses in an encounter, right? The Champion, the Wave Shaper, and the Deep Diver could all be bosses of their own like group of Sahuagin that you would fight in an encounter, and they're all in that one encounter. That's crazy. I probably should have paid more attention to that before they started that fight, because that is a little nuts. I should have replaced more with just the basic ass Sahuagin stat block. So I could also see myself tearing up some of the hit points of this, because as it is, he makes it to here. He's got the shark telepathy. He's going to start summoning sharks out of here. Mac is just going to be screwed. Even if he goes up and does, a full 30 damage to this thing, I don't think he has any way of incapacitating or knocking him out or anything. This guy's only at half health, and then all of a sudden you got a bunch of sharks coming at you. Like, you're done. I'm trying to see how this doesn't become a TPK for the party, basically. With the caveat that these Sahuagin are taking prisoners, so it technically, I guess the definition of a TPK is just you wipe the party out, but in this case it wouldn't be I'm killing them, it would be I can capture them. But damn. And also I do feel bad because they're going to be down a player here, so I'm going to make adjustments from that as well. But like, even my big fear is like, even if Gottwald was still here, he would still be downstairs dealing with the other Sahuagin, and Mac would be up here chasing this guy. But like, he can't take this guy out alone, and then this guy would instantly next turn be able to basically summon all these reinforcements. What I could do is delay them by, I'm already going to probably delete half of them and just say, okay, there's 5 sharks here instead of 10. And then I can wait around to where it's like, oh, and he's communicating, and you see sharks like in the distance that are like swimming out and kind of locking eyes with the Sahuagin. So you've got like, next round, basically I'll be rolling initiative for all of these sharks. Like, it's going to be fucking awful. The only good news is the Sahuagin technically has a long, because the dungeon's so huge, actually does have a long way to go before it can physically reach any reinforcements. It has to swim across all of room 41, which is the throne room. I don't know if you can shout or something. I mean, that's still over 100 feet away to the throne room, and then whatever this ends up being, God, it's like 200 feet before it reaches like the next barracks. The place is enormous. So that's one advantage, but there are a bunch of sharks here. Now, the other thing I could do to really silk gloves this is say, okay, there's no sharks there. But I don't know, man. I think there's still sharks there. I could turn the lobster room with the telepathic lobster into like a hatchery, and that would allow me to use the hatchery stat block, which I think are down here. Maybe with like a priestess or something. Is that what these are? Oh, that's the high priestess. Shoot. I probably used the wrong stat block there, actually, now that I think about it. So I have concerns. I have concerns over the overall difficulty of this mission. I have concerns over, frankly, how cavalier my players are being and how they're not really, using all their abilities and stealthing and doing all that stuff. But I get that it's also tricky because of the darkness and because of the water. That also limits their options. And the other thing is, maybe they're not going to care about actually eliminating the leadership here. Maybe it is going to prove too difficult, and all they're going to try to do is save some allies and get the fuck out of here. That would be weirdly dissatisfying to essentially fail a major quest line, but it is technically not required to complete this campaign the way I've written it. To complete the campaign, they really need to go down to, and same thing with the Styes. The Styes is also technically an optional dungeon quest adventure mission that just helps weaken the overall attacking force here. So if they fail to take out the leadership but save the people, Then the Sahuagin still just ravage the Sword Coast, and basically the epilogue is a lot bleaker than what it could be had they been able to take out the Sahuagin here. But the main quest is they need to go down to battle Sea King Tentrix, and then from there they'll be able to find where the actual Kraken cult is based, and then into the giant underwater dungeon, which, yes, there's going to be another underwater dungeon. I think that's the only one, though. I think the rest, the Styes is mostly above water. Very like Port Town, Lovecraftian area, which we've put down here in Orlumbor. And then even the pirate lair, Tentrix's floating lair, is all above water. It's all, obviously pirate themed and a bunch of ships and all that kind of combat. So I think there'll be a nice balance between a different kind of like nautical themes and biomes and areas with the next couple. We've got the giant underwater dungeon here, and then we're going to have the port side creepy town thing, then we're going to do the whole pirate thing, and then the finale will be back to doing a giant underwater dungeon. So that'll be the actual very end of it. I guess we could sprinkle in a few other encounters along the way. We still need to hit up the pirates. Who was it? Captain Callus, that the party had interacted with, and they still owe him some money. So maybe he's leveled up since then and can kind of berate the players, but maybe there's one or two fun things. Certainly, we're going to have to come up with some encounters, getting them to Orlumbor, although they could also just hug the seacoast. So I don't know how much I want to do there. The main encounters will probably come once they leave the Styes and actually go down to the Nelenthar. That'll be a lot of encounter stuff. We can even have that zombie dragon turtle down there as a guard. And then the Tower of Urfong, I think, which is like a whole little tower area that controls the dragon turtle. That could be pretty awesome. So we could start looking at the Styes, I guess. I don't know. Other than me panicking about the difficulty of this dungeon, but unfortunately we're still gonna have to just wait and see how the players react and what they do, how well they're able to tamp down on any kind of alarms or any of that. One thing I haven't really thought too much about, because I've got several weeks to think about it, is their exit strategy. And unfortunately, I don't think the adventure, we looked at that last time, really talks about like how the hell the party is supposed to get out of here. It just tells you all the entrances and exits, but it doesn't really explain like how they escape. I think they get there via like a rowboat that kind of drops them off, and then the boat maybe like comes back or something. But again, in the way it's written in the adventure, there's not any Sahuagin like outside of the dungeon, whereas with mine it's a constant threat. So having to escape, I'd love to make it like a thrilling exit plan. Certainly I can use a lot of my DM cheating via the Lizard Queen if they manage to free her. Maybe she's got some special abilities where she can contact the tribe, or come up with a hidden escape path, or do something. But if they never free her, then they're not going to have that information. I know somebody talked about maybe the Triton has a way of communicating, but I don't want to have something like, oh, he's had like a sending stone up his ass this whole time that he can pull out, like the watch in Pulp Fiction. The only place he could is ass. I don't want to do anything contrived like that, so I'm not sure. Other than having one of their allies, like maybe Harley is like hanging outside and has like a strike force ready to escape. Because the way that the original adventure also is, the party is supposed to go back and actually fight everything. That's included in the what is it called? The conclusion area. Yeah, the assault. Because again, originally designed is for the party to do a reconnaissance mission, and then they go back to the Saltmarsh Council, and then the entire Saltmarsh militia, as well as like allied forces like the Lizard Folk and I guess Locathals or somebody else, they all like band together to actually do a big attack. In my world, the Sahuagin are definitely more powerful, and the surrounding areas are not as powerful. The Lizard Folk have already been beaten back, so they're basically in refugee mode. The Thornhold people don't have any kind of navy, so it's not really possible for them to pull this off, but maybe they can at least do a big covering counterattack which I could probably manufacture if the party is escaping and they've got people on their tail. Maybe there's little ships out, or Thornhold somehow just firing, whatever I don't know if they have cannons or something, but something from their castle and trying to mount a big distraction and counterattack. Maybe the player's ship has taken a lot of damage, but they're doing a lot of work, going back and forth and firing off the ballista thing that they had, but never like slowing down enough. Presumably this Sahuagin would have some giant sharks around, which makes things a little tricky, but I don't know, I think that'd be kind of cool. I'm almost picturing like a getaway system where the ship's going by and the party can like grab onto the ship really quickly to just hightail it out of there. Although hopefully they can also reconnect with the lizard folk. So I don't really have an epilogue yet because things could change a lot, right? Depending on what the choices the party makes. So I can't really write that all quite yet. So, but I'm basically ignoring this entire assault part of this dungeon because that's not really in the cards. Unless I really manufacture something crazy and say, well, meanwhile, Thornhold has gotten word to Waterdeep because they're connected, and Waterdeep maybe still has some navy, and they've actually sent up a full force, and now they can, work on attacking the Sahuagin, but that would be a little contrived given that I think the Sahuagin are already in the midst of attacking Waterdeep, so it almost undermines the party's need to do what they're doing if like Waterdeep is showing up with like a full navy able to attack the Sahuagin. And then they're like, oh well, we could have just fucking waited for this to happen, right? Like, so that seems a little much to have them kind of show up, little Deus Ex Machina. So probably not gonna be doing that. Try mapping the damn thing. Yeah, I appreciate you. It is gigantic. These old school maps, man. The 10-foot square is just crazy. So why don't we talk a little bit about the styes, because I don't know if we're going to employ too many, if any, random encounters between here and Orlumbor. We can have the players stop in Waterdeep. I guess we could always include like a random quest, and that makes sense actually, that they would stop in Waterdeep to like, take on food and whatever, and I can always look and see if there's a Waterdeep quest in there. Let's actually look at that instead first, because that is on the way to Orlumbor. So that would be under... Actually, I could look under Black Armada, because Chapter 2 is where some of the Waterdeep attacks would happen. And we can see if there's any good things on there. Also, there are quest lines, I forget, from Chapter 2 that spin off of the 3 cities, and they typically take you to different areas. So Waterdeep has... is Waterdeep where you get the Merid from? See, Umberlee's Cache, which is kind of a cool underwater dungeon. It's the last thing my party wants to do again. Although I like the kind of pit thing going on here. Underwater cave in the deep water harbor, filled with tithes given to Umberlee by sailors and populace during the festival of Fleet's Wake. Deepwater beacon, guarded by merfolk, as well as their giant seahorses. So this is back during the big attack on all the cities. The Sahuagin actually do attack Waterdeep, which is great for me because that is what's happening. I definitely don't want to use any more. After this, though, I think I would be done with Sahuagin. I think the party would be done with them as well, because they've fought them so much already in this campaign, and this is like their main base, and the whole point of dismantling the Sahuagin, leadership and threat is so you don't have to deal with them anymore. Now, if the party ends up coming out of here without dealing with the Sahuagin, then maybe we can revisit that as a penalty system. Yeah, the Merid Conch. It's like a genie lamp, but for a Merid, which is kind of a cool idea. That's a hell of a treasure to grab. Literally rubbing the lamp, and you have a 10% chance to just get the wish spell, which, talk about breaking your fucking campaign. Otherwise, just getting a Merid as a summon is pretty useful. So that's what they get down here. The Descent has Sea Wraiths, Specters with a 60-foot swim speed, and this is Chapter 2, so it's a little bit lower level. Characters enter without uttering a prayer to Umberlee summon a Bearded Devil. Okay. Can Bearded Devils... Oh, they do have a swim speed. Oh, look at that. Okay. They can breathe underwater, though. Let's see, a current, +1 scimitar, potion of water breathing. There's more Sahuagin down here. Tribute gatherers. What is that? Is that the merfolk? Large fiend. Oh, tentacles. Interesting. Writhing tentacles inside the camera probes and explore surroundings. Okay. Tribute gatherer. It's a tentacle monster. Reef Merc lair. Comes a Reef Merc. What is that? What the fuck is that supposed to be? Underwater ooze. Normally found in the depths of frigid oceans. We've not found an ooze this whole campaign, I think. Creatures resemble massive oil slicks or clouds of ink. Corrosive touch and a nauseating stench. Okay, it's like fighting an oil blob. That's kind of interesting. Pseudopod. They have the dumbass rust monster ability. I hate that shit. That's such another old school thing. I don't want to fucking break people's equipment. That's just mean. Nobody likes that. Nobody wants to deal with that. Do extra acid damage. That's fine. Extra 48 acid damage. Give him some kind of debuff. A temporary debuff, also fine. You know, you have like the poison condition or something, but permanent -1 penalty to AC. Golly. Spider climb. That's the gas stench, it looks like, too. Okay. Underwater ooze. Just has 2 keys. Inside is a stolen merit conch, which is pretty cool. Okay. I guess it'd make more sense to put this somewhere other than the city, though. There's a lot going on in this area. I ended up using the, what did I use? I guess it's the Neverwinter House of Knowledge instead, but, which I liked. But I appreciate that there's like traps, there's treasures, there's different kind of monsters. Despite only being like a 6-room dungeon. Sultan Klaptikos of the Great Waves. And he eventually gets them like a flying ship or something if they do his quest. Great knowledge into water locations, also knows the way to the elemental plane of water. Sultan in combat and for flawless navigation. If they treat him as a friend or patron rather than a slave, Klaptikos might be tempted to stick with the characters even after he's fulfilled the demands based upon his imprisonment. To be a very powerful ally. But I'd have to manufacture like a quest line for here, which you could do. You could be like, they meet with somebody and be like, yeah, this Sahuagin keep trying to get to this area down here that is guarded by merfolk normally. Is that how it is? Yeah, guarded by 4 merfolk. They killed all but one of the merfolk guard. Yeah. So maybe the merfolk meet with them. I could change that to like tritons or something. I don't know. I don't know if we've used merfolk in this campaign. I hate to use too many different sea creatures. Or I guess it doesn't matter. That's the only adventure location in here, I think. Some of these might have like tavern brawls or something else going on. Blackstaff Tower. But then there's an actual Waterdeep quest line. So right now we're just looking at, we're kind of, I don't have much more to talk about this Sahuagin Stronghold area until the players start making some more progress. I'm kind of looking ahead. We could look at the styes, which I've placed down in Orlumbor, but I assume the players might stop at Waterdeep, so I'm trying to see if there's like any kind of little side quest or something. I can always look at outside content, but I'm already got so much stuff in between Call from the Deep and Ghosts of Saltmarsh that I hardly need to add anything from outside to do like a really full-on quest line, unless we have a very specific situation like with the tower with the 2-party, you know, session deal, which was a unique situation where I had to do a mini mission for a reduced party. They've already got the location, so and this would be purely side quest. Like they don't have. They've already got all the information that they need would just be either be a pure side quest or like, hey, this is reflective of the fact that we're being attacked by the Sahuagin, or we're attacked by the Sahuagin, or like the sea creatures in general. Maybe that whole force that hit Neverwinter moved south, met up with another force, and then they attacked Waterdeep. So maybe Waterdeep's also reeling from an attack. All three of these areas have a quest to go to Luskan to basically get to ask like, what the fuck, pirates? And the Luskans are like, yeah, no, it's all of them tell you like where the location of Tentrix is. It's a really stupid quest. There's nothing involved in there. You just go up to Luskan, and then the pirate council like tells you like, oh yeah, one of them like recognizes Tentrix. Like, yeah, you can find him down in Nelanther. Like, that's it. There's nothing else involved. Abilene Neravarco. The sworn attempt to retrieve the married conch. Dread High Tydrant. It's a cool title. Something must be manipulating her telepathic communications with Slarkrethel. Her communications with Slarkrethel? So she's also a fathomless worshiper. The Kraken has never associated with sea devils in the past. Aveline doesn't understand. Is she one of the merfolk? Is that what's happening here? Release. Where does it mention that person? By 4 merfolk, 1 merfolk priest, as well as 5 giant seahorses. One of the merfolk guards. Where does it talk about this person? I thought I mentioned them somewhere. Or saw them get mentioned somewhere. Justice Tukey's Dread High Trident has 1. Where are you, though? So I think they're a merfolk. Maybe the final room? Release altar. Don't know. Me skimming through it has not found another mention of this person. But presumably they're somewhere in the Umberlee's cache area. Emily doesn't understand why he would send a whole fleet to Waterdeep when she could have taken the conch to him herself. He tries not to relay the Kraken side his leader, divulge the information the characters won't help otherwise. Only his characters escort her to the Cloakwood, just south of Baldur's Gate. She knows of a cavern hideout where the wood meets the cliffs, where important members of the Kraken Society meet. She can attend a meeting with other members. I think I remember reading about this one. This is one where there's a deep scion that transforms that freaks everybody out. This is a big quest. As a character which joins the society, she can permit her secret to spread to Waterdeep, and the cult promises great power and knowledge to its members. Characters head through the cloak where they're attacked by an evil treant, which storms through the forest towards them. Characters in the cloak will be a sea. They're attacked by a hydra, which layers in the coastal shallows. That's pretty cool. Characters protect Emily thinks of the whole running continues the Kraken Society meeting spot, which she calls Blackcane Cove. Characters arrive, place his name. Meet with Kraken Society members if they join the cult. Those who refuse must remain behind. I don't know. Do I still need to do this stuff with the cult, though? Like, the party's already openly fought the cult. They had that one bar brawl in Neverwinter when they took out Ned, who was a Kraken Society member. And now they're pretty sure the Kraken Society is gone. Although, maybe I could reflect the fact that, like, hashtag not all K Society, and say that there are Kraken Society members, which is still, I think, an evil cult. I think. Maybe they are, instead of blindly following the Fathomless now, they realize, like, something's up with these recent, like, instructions and feelings we've gotten. Which is true, and that's obviously that the Kraken's been taken over by an Elderbrain. So maybe they can meet a allied Kraken Society member. That part's not bad, but then the part about them, I feel like I've tipped my hand with the Kraken Society already. The party wouldn't need to do any of this. Join the cult. Remember the concealed identity of the Black Veil. There are 3 nobles, 3 cult fanatics, 2 concealed deep scions for purple rocks. Deep scions tell the gathered cultists where they attack on Waterdeep. Was successful when the others are to take place. So you could just have them get that information. I mean, that seems like a fun situation. Hmm. They can try and gather information by posing as cultists, maybe? Anything is wrong is met with jeers from other members, grasp from the deep silence. Can you see these wisdom? Can neither silence reveal the purple rocks undergoing a change? Well, you don't reveal purple rocks too soon, though, because that gives away the whole game. Organization tax and circus really be signed of his pledge. The characters are possession of the scions. Discover letters from Sea King Tentrix. Okay. Huh. There's possibility here, but I don't know if it's relevant for the campaign and the action that we're going on right now. No, I don't know what other information I can still give them. I think they've already got it. I mean, they could get a job at Waterdeep, I guess. Somebody saying like, "Hey, do you all, if you all have familiar with the Kraken Society, I think we've got some. There's obviously they're in every major city. Maybe you can see, or maybe the Kraken Society, this Dread High Tyrant person contacts the party. Still not sure who they are. There's not a clickable link for them. I assume they were a merfolk, but I'm not certain at the moment now if you're taking them to the Cloakwood Cave. I don't know about that one. Uthavelos Cythria, leader of the Sea Elves, approaches the characters. Is certain there must be a Malenti within their ranks. Asks the characters to search Thar Qualnar. Sounds like a Dragonlance location for the Malenti. Choose character magic items. Help investigate the sunken city. Unfortunately, all these locations I'm looking at are all like underwater dungeon crawling. Like, no, the party just is going to come off doing a big version of that. I don't think we want to do that. At least back to back. Where the hell is Tharquanar? Is that like a whole nother area in the sea? Under the sea. I know Malenti is like a weird Sahuagin that like looks like a sea elf. Another investigation one. So that one's probably not terribly relevant. And really, I could probably look at all these quests again and see, because you could put any of them in Waterdeep if you wanted to. Or we don't have their quest here. We could just have them be stop and chat with people and move on to the Styes. Because the Styes is already going to have its own invest. It's not like it's a full dungeon crawl. In fact, the Styes is probably the least dungeony of all of these modules and quest arcs. It's very investigation work and more like individual encounters around the town. I'm just trying to see if I need to add any other, I don't know, notable events or things happening in these other locations. Alyssa Swarl's quest. Acolyte of the Priestess of High Moonlight. Escort the character to the House of the Moon. Investigate a trio of weresharks who recently left the Silver Stars. Lycanthropes who serve Selune as elite warriors. Rumor has it they were recruited by a pirate crew. If the characters return and convince the weresharks to return, it'll be a boon to the army. Melissa gives the characters 200 gold. So that's another one that sends you off pretty far. It's over here, I think. It's just across the whole water. That is a whole side quest. Asking about shanty towns and rundown taverns reveals that the weresharks have joined the crew of the Blood Moon, a keelboat with the Lycanthrope crew. I guess another thing is you can just give somebody a side quest and say, okay, you can't do it here, but out at sea somewhere you can do it. 3 were-rats, 3 were-sharks, and a werewolf captain. Convince the were-sharks to abandon piracy and return to the church. With just a DC 18 persuasion check. Not hard for any character that's like, I feel like persuasion's like stealth, right? Like if you've got it, you're like really good at it. I really want an excuse to use a were-shark at some point, because that's just awesome. I mean, who doesn't like street sharks back in the day? That art's pretty great too. Got the Blood Frenzy. That's a fun stat block. I gotta find an excuse to use a War Shark at some point. I don't know if just hunting down a random lycanthrope ship is... It depends on like how video gamey do you want to get with it, right? You want to like pick up some bounty quests and just like, oh, these are like random encounter things you can do, and conveniently they're, you know, you'll run into them in like 2 days. Although you could say like, oh, well, they just left like a day or two ago, and maybe they were headed this way, so you can go track them down and take them out. I guess that's an interesting way of combining a quest with an encounter. Is they pick up a quest in Waterdeep and be like, hey, I think this, you know, ship of Kraken Society people left. You know, if you want to track them down and catch them, and I think they went that way. The players could go that way, and that's an excuse for me to use a random encounter for that, I guess. Sultan Kalaptakos. That's the Merid. Which would be cool to give the party at some point. I don't know about giving them access to the Wish spell with a 10% chance. But I love the idea of like rubbing a conch shell and out pops the Merid, and having that be like the reward of a dungeon crawl. We could put that anywhere. That's kind of nifty. So pay the characters. Remembers having a great seafaring vessel before it was caught and imprisoned. Can't remember the exact nature of the ship, nor where he stored it. His memory was stolen by Yugoloth. He thinks the creature was working for his great rival. I guess in the plane of water. Yeah, cast plane ship. Take the characters to the elemental plane of water and track down the Hydroloth. Jeez. That's kind of cool. What does this thing actually look like? It's like a frog demon. CR9. Characters arrive at the Isle of Dread in the Sea of Worlds. We're gonna drop it. That's a really cool idea for a side quest. Get temporarily transported to the elemental plane of water at a non-high level. The players would be probably level 8-ish by the time they did this. Tropical island home to lost souls who were brought to the plane by accident now scrape a living through piracy and trade. Those these characters in Cultimer. So he's with them. Mermaid's purse is enormous, striped nautilus shell, half submerged beneath the waves, resting on a golden palm-lined beach. The place is madness. All variety of creatures inhabit the place, drinking strong spiced rum and watered-down grog. The tavern interior is made up of chambers separated by iridescent, translucent walls. The owner of the establishment is an awakened killer whale called Captain Clipper. I love everything about this so far. So you have to do a little investigation mission in this insane area. Captain Clipper is a total gossip. The coral chamber of the tavern might prove useful. Underwater room contains a Mezzaloth mercenary, bandit captains, swashbucklers, characters in the conversation, pirates get hostile. Hydroloth named one Honorio is well known throughout Thief in the area. An Aldani assassin. Those are the lobster people, aren't they? Oh man, Aldani would hate Mac. Didn't he eat the lobster people? Spinning his coral handle daggers on tips of oversized claws. Known as the Skittering Death can pay for information. That's interesting. You just like, oh yeah, it's an assassin stat block, but it happens to be the Aldani creature. Instantly makes it a lot more powerful. Triton nobles and their pet monkey. There's so many things happening here that they can talk to. Man. 3 days pass in the tavern. 3 days. The Hydra turns up the mermaid's purse looking for work. Chamberlain's characters immediately becomes a reference conversation with a sea hag customer. Also fight the hag sister Scumbucket. To eventually carry a chance to talk to Honorail, though the fights characters don't want to return again and gives them information if they spare its life. He did steal the memories. This is such a long thing. My goodness. Beats a thing on the material plane. An island scattered with huge skeletons. Doesn't know the name of the place. Exfil DC. Allows the character to remember the whale bones. Islands west of Waterdeep. We're looking at the map right now. Oh, there it is. It's right in the middle of the map. The whale bones. So all that just to get information, which I like. After recovering this information, Galacticos teleports himself and the characters to the whale bones. After spending a day searching the characters, find the ship, the flying squid. Unfortunately, the ship has been breached by a gang of 8 berserkers. Characters will fight the crew to get the ship back, although killing Aslong causes the characters to flee. The flying squid is a sailing ship powered by a water elemental, which can be summoned by Sultan Galacticos and bound to a gyroscopic adamantine prison in the hold. Successfully binding the element requires a DC 20 intelligence check. One of the characters can attempt after Galacticos summons the elemental using a conjuring elemental spell. The ship is twice as fast as other of its ilk and only requires a crew of 5. Well, that is pretty awesome. And it wouldn't even involve... It's not a dungeon crawl either. There's so much going on there, too. To be teleported to the elemental plane of water, but only temporarily, and basically only to, like, one tavern, which is less overwhelming to deal with. But the tavern's a fun excuse for, like, a Mos Eisley thing with just insane creatures. And then it's just to get information and meet with and find somebody, which is a really fun story setup. And then you get the information from this person who's a Yugoloth, and then that tells you where the location is, and then the Merid can just summon you there. Then you have to do another final battle with some creatures. Berserkers, I guess. A gang of 8 berserkers. That's a lot. Berserkers, which one are they? CR2. Only have 1 attack, and it's in the reckless one, so... But 8 is still a lot. It's a lot of hit points. God. 60. That's kind of a slog of a fight, honestly. 8 times 67 average hit points is a lot. But then they get a flying ship. Now, the only bad thing about this is it's cool to give the party a flying ship. I just realized my Roll20 window's been wrongly sized this whole time. Why don't y'all tell me this? God. The problem is when I play the patron D&D game, we have more players, so I gotta move the window over, and then for the other game, I move it back. Nobody even mentioned the fact that my window was not lined up with the overlay. Y'all gotta tell me these things. I'm not paying enough attention. Do I want to upgrade the party's ship permanently? Even though they've kind of, they named their ship, they've built upgrades for it. The other thing I could do is maybe say, well, instead of necessarily getting this whole new ship, maybe you just get the flying capability. So it's like an upgrade for the ship. Via, maybe it feels like it'd make more sense to do an air elemental than a water elemental. Oh, you know what? It's not a flying ship. I just realized it's just a sailing ship, just a really fast one. Yeah, I miss looking at it because it's called the Flying Squid, but it's not a flying ship. It's just really powerful. So, yeah, you could do the whole water elemental thing and just have that extra speed. So that would be cool. I would probably do it instead of giving you a new ship that's got this upgrade. I would say, here's this, like, ultimate mega high-powered upgrade you can grab for your own ship. If the party would be into that. And then they can attach this adamantine prison water elemental in there, lets them shoot twice as fast. Which would basically be me saying you can essentially skip all random encounters now and travel any length in the sea. So that would be a pretty cool reward. But to do that, we've got to get them the Merid Conch. So I'm going to have to think about... I could even put that Merid Conch in the Sahuagin dungeon, but it seems like it would need to be in a place where there's nobody at, because otherwise the force there would be using it. And I think having it that close to Waterdeep feels like somebody in Waterdeep would have grabbed it. So it needs to be more of a remote location. Like the Cave of Wonders, but with water. So I'll have to think about that. But I think getting the players their hands on the Merid Conch would be cool, and then the Merid popping out and then giving them this specific quest would also be pretty cool. So I like that combination. We could do that as soon as after the Sahuagin Stronghold dungeon. So I may actually look at doing this one, and hopefully that wouldn't add too much to... I don't know how many sessions that would take, but it's not like a huge dungeon crawl thing, so... I like that one. I think that's the one I like the most out of all the ones I've looked at so far. I don't know if I want to do more with the Kraken Society. We're going to get a lot more of them in the Purple Rocks area towards the end game. So I don't have a good way to use them until then, but maybe just having, I don't know. It's not really an urban adventure where I feel like they'd be dealing with Kraken Society members too much, except we did that one bar fight where they were all followers. But I think showcasing the fact that like not all Kraken Society members are falling prey to the Fathomless, but maybe others are saying like, well, wait a minute. I mean, it's a idea of you like questioning your own god because they're suddenly acting much stranger and more dangerous and erratic. So it'd be interesting to have followers that weren't all about that. But then I don't have like a quest associated with that other than just having some, maybe, I don't know, if they end up going back to Neverwinter, maybe somebody can talk to some Kraken Society members, come up to Twirl and talk to him about it, because he's sort of borderline Kraken Society in terms of he worships the Fathomless. Very interesting. All right, I think that's going to do it for this Thursday edition of Crafting the Deep. If you enjoyed the content, please do check out patreon.com/roguegods. We ended up talking the whole time without even getting to the styes, so there you go. I guess I always have something to talk about. Thank you to the patrons. Shout out to Platinum patrons: Joe, Will, Thomas, Stan, Brennan, Zensider, Eclectic, Roleplayer, Earl, Christopher, Corey, Big Nut, John F, John L, Eric, Tyler, Nathan, Cap Crystal, Counselor, Andrew, Daryl, the Relder, Captain Woody 79, Stephanie, Patrick, Jason, Ismail, Amit, Lovey, Spud, Sharni, David, William, Nizak, and Warden. And gold patrons: RPG, Papercrafts, B-Boy, and Yuma, Dead Lizard, Lounge, Sam, Drome, Nathan, Fast Like a Tortoise, Scott, Repos, Karen, Jerry, Glenn, Marcus, and Mark. Thank you all very much for your support. I will see you for D&D tomorrow.